So I'm in the Plaza Mayor, the major plaza in Madrid, and fueled by untold number of pitchers of sangria. And me and a bunch of Spanish students are talking about what's going to happen to Spain. And this is all in Spanish, of course. And my Spanish was passable, but not good. It's better, much better now. But they were really helpful. They're my age, and they kind of helped me out. And we were up until 2:30 or 3 in the morning.
But this was a really pivotal point in Spain's history, right?
Right.
And you were there talking to those
talking
students
to them about that. And of course, you've got to remember that in those years, we were really looked up to. We just saved everybody's bacon in the Second World War. I mean, that the entire continent was run over by the Nazis.
Right.
If England hadn't held out, I don't know if we would have won that war.
Yeah.
But anyway, so they were kind of looking for, what does an American think about this, and how's this democracy stuff work? And well, maybe we're not quite ready for that. And I don't think they were really. So to make a long story short, they did end up with a constitutional monarchy. Juan Carlos became king, I think, in '74. And of course, they had a prime minister, and the same system they have now.
But just like there is today, you're in a square, getting drunk with students, talking about the future of a country.
Right.
But you were talking about it. You know. I guess you never really know if you're at that pivot point, right? But that was a pivot point, or right before a pivot
and
point.
And he ran that country with an iron fist. There were federalistas, I think is what they called them, the guys with the little black patent leather hats. They were all over the place.
Yeah.
And so these students couldn't get too much out of line. There weren't any riots or anything like that going on. But they were, naturally interested in what's going to happen after this. It was a pretty repressive regime from '39 or whenever he officially took over.
Yeah.
And if you recall, the Russians were on the Republican side, bringing in tanks and armor and advisors, and the Nazis were on Franco's side, bringing in tanks.
And this is middle of the Cold War.
Right.
Like, this is as hot as the Cold War.
Cold War. Eisenhower had done a good job of keeping us out of a nuclear war. Kennedy had just taken over. Now we had Johnson. But it was, Khrushchev died when I was on this trip, and you know what he thought of us. And so it was right in the middle of the Cold War.